Okay, we're just going to wait just a few seconds for people to join. Just waiting. We'll just wait few more people to join. We've got about a few, 10. Fantastic. Welcome everyone. Welcome. Welcome. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for joining myself and Fabian. Thank you. So, yes, I think we should start now. Let me close this. Welcome everyone to Africa Fashion Week London Masterclass series. Today is the 22nd of June, 7 p.m. Thank you so much for joining us. My name is Buki Okiji and I'm the Head of Operations for African Fashion Week London. Today we have the amazing Fabian Hirose. Is that how you say it? Have I said it correctly?
Hirose or Hirose?
Fantastic. Fabian is an insight strategy developer and consultant for international fashion business. And he will be talking to us today about developing a strategy for your brand or your business. Let me just let you know who Fabian Hirose is. Fabian brings passion of 17 years of experience in the global fashion industry. He has integrated his sharp business acumen, design thinking, developmental knowledge, and he assists clients to reach a deeper understanding of commercial challenges. Hirose currently works relationally with senior business leaders and cross-functional teams to unlock the enduring potential of a brand and its people. His international experience, get this guy, in combination with a background in marketing for multinational, he creates the structure for strong financial returns and taps the authenticity of a brand and its business model to create sustainable growth. That's amazing, Fabian. Fabian is a Colombian-born British, and Fabian's clients include, wait for these guys, Burberry, Gucci, Alexander Mcqueen, Fendi, Valentino. I can't even name brands that I can't pronounce, including Versace, Paul Smith, Diesel, All Saints, and many, many more. Hirose, thank you so much for joining us this morning. And I'd like for you to kind of go through with us about how one can develop a strategy for the, being that we're a fashion brand, particularly for emerging creatives and emerging designers, and especially for those that are starting up their businesses. I think some of our audience will be keen to understand, because a lot of people, they start businesses, but they don't really jump in straight in without actually strategizing or working out the steps in which how to do it. And then they get right in the middle of it and then realize, actually, I don't have a plan. So over to you, if you can just explain to us how one can actually develop their brand and build their business. So over to you.
Thank you so much, Buki, for this amazing invitation. And for me, it's a great honor to be with you in this amazing masterclass and supporting Africa Fashion Week London. And as you said, this is quite complex, especially for small brands that they want to go into business, because sometimes, or a majority of the times, we get very excited and we said, okay, let's do it. And we just go with the flow like the Italians do. Now I'm talking to all of you from Milano. I'm enjoying my time here and I'm reflecting on everything that I've been learning since I started my process in fashion. So Buki is very simple and at the same time is very difficult, because when someone that loves fashion starts generating this idea of becoming a designer or becoming a business, it's quite complex to fulfill all the fantasies and at the same time all the dreams that fashion entitles. The first strategy before you start your business, Buki, is understanding the reason why you want to go into fashion, because this is so important for you to know. Majority of us, we have an initial idea why we are inside fashion. Some of us, we generated or we created this idea when we were very little, you know, when we were watching movies and when we were like, oh my God, I love this actress, or I love this fashion show, or I love all of that. So in our head, we create these kind of images of what fashion is, which is very beautiful. That help us to initiate the process itself. But the problem is when you try to start working in fashion professionally, that idea is still inside your beautiful brain, and you believe that you need to build what you saw when you were little or teenager and all of that. So the first step to develop an amazing fashion business is remember and try to identify the reason why you are in love with fashion. It's, you know, it's like with men booking. You never know why you love them, but
You're right.
probably they said something to you that makes you love them, but at the same time, at the end, you realize, okay, probably they don't deserve to be loved. But fashion is like that. First step that you have to do when you want to start a business is you need to identify the reason why you are in love with fashion. Um, because this is extremely, extremely important for you to generate an awareness. The second step that it is very important is the why you want to generate a fashion business, why you want to do it. Are you proposing something that somebody else needs? Because having an idea of generating a business and actually creating a business is very different. The idea of a business is only an idea. The way that we transform that idea is when we realize when or where or who they have the need of what we offer. Majority of designers, they said, okay, let's create something very beautiful so we can have followers on Instagram, or we can have many attention. But at the same time, so probably many of them, they get attention from followers, from people that love fashion, but at the same time, they don't get the exchange between money and between money and between what they are preparing. So second step is to identify and to recognize the idea that you have to generate a fashion business, and who is the person that you would like to sell to or to exchange to. Because those 2 points are very, very important. Every business booking has a process. A majority of us, we believe that probably if you start a very good fashion business, it will take 5 years, 10 years, 15 years. It all depends. It all depends on the economy, the situation of your consumer. And sometimes it doesn't depend on your talent, because there are many talented people trying to create a fashion business, but sometimes that talent doesn't resonate with the audience or with the consumers. But it's not because they are not talented, it's only because the economy plays a very important part in the development of a fashion business itself. So I believe those are the 3 main points that will help you to generate a good beginning if you want to create a business. And at the same time, is part of a very early strategy, so you understand the domain and the panorama of the possibilities that you can develop your business itself.
Thank you, Fabian. That was amazing. So with those 3 to 4 steps, that's amazing. I wonder if you can tell us a little bit about your journey thus far, how you landed into being a brand strategist, and what are the, we've got a few questions, and what your journey has been over the past decade or so, and just for our audience to know from where you're coming from, if that's okay.
So this is amazing booking, and very little or very few times I have the opportunity to tell my journey, because it has been a journey. Come on, Bookie, this is amazing. But so my beginnings in fashion are very simple. I have a very beautiful mother that she loves fashion, but she loves this kind of particular fashion, which is the fashion that makes you look beautiful, the fashion that generates an statement in society, and the fashion that helps you to navigate the different society needs. So I learned from her many tricks, how to navigate this beautiful universe, being beautiful, being correct, and being well-dressed. Yeah, because my mother said, you have to, otherwise you are not gonna be able to navigate all of this confusion or all of this wonderful life. So, but my father, he used to work in an American company. He used to be the sales manager of Latin America of an American company. So I grew up with him seeing numbers and being international, being all the time supporting sales. He was a businessman, and he was a very kind man. So I was very confused, because I didn't know if I wanted to study business or if I wanted to study a fashion, because I love both of them. It's like when you love your mother and you love your father, but you don't know who to choose. So I was loving them equally, and I was loving what they taught me, which is that was a fashion and that was business. So I tried to study in my country, in Colombia, but I couldn't, because it was quite 20 years ago. I'm very mature. It's only I have a good genes book. I tried to study in Colombia, but I couldn't find the right place to develop my curiosity and my education. So I moved to London, and I love London since I landed there. I love everything, the food, the chaos. I love everything that I found in London, and I decided to apply. Um, I decided to apply in London School of Economics. And I said, okay, if I want to study in London, I want to study in a good place. I didn't have any money, but I said, okay, I'm going to work very hard to be able to make this happen. So I came to London and applied in London School of Economics, and I passed. And they said, okay, and this is your fee. And I was, what the hell? What I'm gonna do if I don't have all of this money? So I started to work bookie. I was working in Selfridges. I was working in restaurants to be able to pay my career. And I was working like real Londoner, I felt, because I met many Londoners trying to do the same thing that I was doing. So, and after that, I moved into Central St. Martin's, and I studied fashion because I wanted to combine business and fashion. My first job, one of my first jobs in fashion was working with Alexander Mcqueen. And Alexander Mcqueen changed my whole life because I was working with him at the time when he killed himself, basically. So it was very, very difficult for me because I didn't understand what was going on. So I moved on, and I said, I need to leave England. So I moved to California. And in California, in Santa Barbara, California, one of my best friends, she said, okay, you need to study business psychology. And I didn't understand why. So I studied business psychology. So today I combine business psychology, business and fashion. And this is what I tend to do all the time. I'm working in luxury, all these big brands that you know, only because I needed money, to be honest. I needed money and I needed to be paid, and I couldn't afford doing free internships. And I never did all of that. So I said, okay, I need to start working because I need to earn money. And luxury companies and big companies, if you know what you are doing, they pay you very well. So that's the reason why I'm doing what I'm doing. And that's my journey. And as a Colombian bookie, growing up in a country in development, I learned that I needed to help. I needed to help because I was in a position of not privilege, but I was in quite unique position. I could achieve many things that my people, in Latin America couldn't achieve. So instead of becoming arrogant, I became honest and I became helpful. So and that's what I do. I help,
Awesome.
I support, I share what I learn because that gives me reason to live happily and to do what I do and to do what I love. That's
That's that's
that's
amazing, Fabian. Someone mentioned the struggle is real and they love your honesty and they thank you for being here. I've got a number of questions for you,
tell
if
me.
you don't mind.
Yeah.
So we're here to talk about how people can build their brand, and I'm sure many people are listening to your stories and they can't believe that you came all the way to England and went straight into university without even thinking about the obstacles that was in front of you. You had a vision. You had a vision and you knew you can do it, and you didn't even let any obstacle deter you from following through. And that itself is inspirational, Fabian. So yeah, the struggle is real. Well done. So brands. I've got a number of questions.
Tell me.
How does one create a brand identity?
Okay, brand identity, it belongs to the DNA of the designer, of the founder. This is extremely important. Brand identity, when you are the founder of the creator, of the designer of the brand, is like creating a child, to be honest, you know? So it's actually, you have to understand who you are, what your really talent or your real talent is. And this is the points to be able to create a brand identity itself. One thing that you need to know, and that's why I'm doing this kind of comparison, you know, even though it's your child, it's not you. It's a very independent entity and very independent from you. Of course, it has and many elements from you, but is totally apart from you. So this is the beginning, the brand DNA, and how you polish this brand DNA when you know your audience or your consumer. So you understand, okay, I'm doing beautiful dresses, printed dresses, and I'm selling to this kind of audience that would like to celebrate or would like to be very beautiful in all the social celebrations. So all of that shape your brand DNA and your brand identity. Your brand identity is not for your Instagram followers, it's for your consumers. And the more you get to know your consumers, the more your brand identity becomes clearer and clearer. And at the same time, the more you know your real talent, the more your brand identity becomes clearer and clearer. This is the key of creating a brand DNA. Right now, during the pandemic, many of the brands, they need to go back to their DNA because that's the only way that they can continue this commercial journey. Because sometimes when you generate many marketing campaigns, you lose a bit of your DNA because of the kind of excitement of being out there. But now in the pandemic, that everything seems a bit confusing. Majority of the brands, they need to go back to their DNA to be able to continue to live commercially for the next 5 years.
Fantastic. That's fantastic. Honestly, yeah, and I think with the pandemic as well, what you just mentioned is true. a lot of people, I think a couple of years or so ago, everyone jumped onto Instagram and jumped on social media. And now they're kind of finding out that they need to also have other offline communications as well. And that brings me to my next question, actually, with regards to branding. How does one create a solid brand strategy? We've just talked about how one creates a brand, what's a brand, and how one identifies as a brand separately from one's personality. But I think a lot of people misunderstand just having a brand is not enough. You need to also understand how you're going to communicate the essence of that brand. So if you don't mind explaining how we can kind of marry that together, that would be amazing.
Okay, I love, because we talk a lot about family, child's marriage, all of this, because it's very similar. Yeah, it's very similar. The communication is extremely important of your brands. One, you have kind of clarity, because I have to say, you know, you never know, or you never fully understand your brand identity, because it's always in development. There is no 100% clarity. That doesn't exist. In the same way that we don't know who we are. I know who I am right now with you, Buki, but tomorrow, if it's raining, probably I'm gonna be a different person. It's the same with brand identity, because many brands, they knew who they were before of the pandemic, but during the pandemic, they got lost. And after the pandemic, probably they are gonna change. So how you communicate all of this, so you need to be very patient. This is very, very important. And you need to understand that your communication, it needs to be consistent, but it needs to be flexible, because if it's not flexible, so you are just lying all the time. So I have an amazing example. I remember one of my first classes in marketing, they told me about Coca-Cola. And they said, you know, when I was very young, probably you were not born, Buki. But when I was very young, Coca-Cola jingle or slogan was Coca-Cola makes you happy. And now in 2020, we know it was just sugar rush, yeah, because it was full of sugar. So, but if you see the progress of Coca-Cola, Coca-Cola was trying to be honest all the time, because probably they didn't know it was sugar rush. They said, okay, if people drink Coca-Cola, they feel a bit energetic or on fire or amazing or happy. So it is very, very important that we adapt, that we continue adapting with the times, because communication is not linear. Communicating your brand, it all depends who your audience is, and at the same time what's happening in the planet. Because if you saw many brands during the pandemic, they didn't talk about product, they talk about kindness, they talk about human values, because they adapt to their communication into the scenarios that we are living. So this is very important. But to be precise, you need to use different channels of communication. You need to use online channels, and you need to use offline channels, because it's very different the way that we communicate online and the way that we communicate personally. Sometimes brands, they can create beautiful experiences offline. And even though we are in the pandemic, even though we cannot just gather as we did before, we need to be prepared to be able to communicate our brands during the post-pandemic period in a very beautiful way, offline and online. So communication is very tricky, and I have to say, every time I work in the development of a brand, I always ask an expert to help me, because this is something that a designer cannot do, or CEO can do, or me, consultant, can do. No, this needs to be an expert and a person that helps us to translate all of this.
I think what you just said at the end was totally key, because a lot of the times as a brand, we try to do everything ourselves. We think we have the vision, so therefore I know where I need to drive it, but a lot of the times we need to ask for help or get experts to come in and say, okay, you can do the strategy, you can do the communications, you can do the PR, you can do the media. But so many times, but I think the key thing is when you're starting off as a new business as well, you don't necessarily have the funds. So it's always difficult to kind of work in collaboration with people because nobody wants to feel like they've been taken advantage of. And that will bring me to my question of how do you work? How do you figure out how to collaborate with people on the onset of starting off a brand? Because obviously you want to align yourself with the right set of people, especially people that probably have the same values or the same, plans as you, or the same, or have the same beliefs as you. So how does one get into that connectivity with people? And then on that basis, on that as well, I have a question from Sylvia Hirose from Colombia. How to keep, Sylvia, how to keep on making your brand outstanding when people tend to copy everything you do? So you're looking for that connection and that collaboration, but how do you protect your own brand and your own identity and all that kind of stuff?
So answering the first question, Buki, I have to say, how you are going to be able to collaborate with brands or with people, sorry, that can help you during your starting point. The answer is very simple, but so difficult for many of us, including myself. We just need to ask. You cannot imagine how many people are willing to help you. But if you don't ask, they don't know. Yeah, this is the beginning of that. You never know. I always encourage startups and people that would like to generate a startup to ask, to talk, but to ask politely, to be honest, not try to be tricky or trying to be, oh, I have an amazing idea. No, be honest. I have an idea. I don't know if it's going to work. Can you just help me? I'm going to invite you a coffee, because sometimes it's not about money. It's about the quality of exchange. If someone is asking for this kind of collaboration, so basically is if you are being respected and if you are being valued, sometimes this is more than earning money, Bookie. And there are many people that would love to being valued and being respected. So this is very important in the collaboration itself. So always ask and be clear and be honest and don't be afraid. And after that, generate any kind of exchange. Sometimes exchanging is not about money, it's about, please, let's, she's taking a picture. So sometimes it's about, I invite you a coffee, or what do you need? You want me to help you with this? Collaborations are not always about money. It's always about honesty, because this way you can find people that can help you honestly. And of course, just be careful, do research before you try to approach people, because not everyone is good in this business. Booking, this business, everyone can say, okay, I work in fashion. Anyone can say that. But it's like a good food, good Chinese food. Not all the Chinese rice are good. Sorry, but I have to be honest. So, and regarding Sylvia, I know, Sylvia, the situation in Colombia, and not in Colombia, in many places, even though people are very creative, there are many people that they like copying. And that's good and that's bad, yeah, because you believe that being in the business is about copying. So how you can protect all of that? So my first answer is, Stop being on Instagram too much. Try to be private. If you want to improve your business, it's better to talk to your clients directly. Sometimes your clients don't see Instagram, so try to talk to them directly. And at the same time, try to deal with all this copying and try to be more private and exclusive, because otherwise, if you are too public, this will become bigger and bigger and bigger, and you are not going to be able to stop this copying. Copying fashion brands is an issue that has been all the time in fashion businesses. You know, even Chanel was copied, and Chanel copied the jacket of a person in a hotel. I mean, it's always, there are this kind of copying. I know what Sylvia is talking about, but my little piece of advice is try to be more intimate and try to communicate with your clients in a more direct manner, so you can be more reserved and you can be more protective of your ideas.
Fantastic. You mentioned something quite crucial. You said that people shouldn't spend too much time on Instagram, but everyone's on Instagram. Everyone's on social media, because that is what's drawing, that's how they're promoting their work. Yeah. So I think in a way, I think it's sort of like a catch-22, because if you don't promote your work, people can't see your work. But if you promote your work too much, if you promote your work too much, then, sorry about that, if you promote your work too much, people will copy. And what do they say about copying? Copying is like a form of, what's the word? Imitation is a form of flattery or something like that.
Something like that,
so,
yeah.
But you said not to spend too much time on Instagram. So then, what should we invest our time in to build our brand? Where should our focus, where should we focus our time? And if you can also give us something like a percentage of how much time we should spend during the day or during the week on the ideas of how we can build what it is that we're trying to build, our business, our brand, and so forth.
Good, Buki. Thank you very much for the question and the clarification. So I have to say, Instagram is very good opportunity for you to do your marketing. It's a free marketing, and it will have a cost if you generate some campaigns. But Instagram sometimes doesn't allow you to generate a closer rapport with your client. So that's why you need to use different kind of strategies to be able to communicate with your audience. So if you are asking me, but it all depends on what kind of products you are selling. But in general manner, if you spend too much time on Instagram, you are trying to create a connectivity with your audience and clients. Sometimes you just need to grab your phone, or sometimes you need to create a private meeting with them. So you are losing all that opportunities. So I believe you have to use between 50 and 50. I am 50 and 50 man. I always like 50 and 50. Why? Because they are equally important. When I'm speaking, do not spend too much time on Instagram, is because sometimes brands, they believe that being on Instagram is the only way to improve their business. Yes, it's a very useful channel, but sometimes grabbing your phone, if you have the telephone of your client, it's better to have a video call with him or with her privately, because that generates loyalty, that generates relationship, and that generates a better rapport with your client. And at the same time, you will receive a better feedback from what they want. Because Instagram is all about you give. And what the audience do is like. So actually you are not receiving quality of feedback. So you believe, oh, they like it, but you don't know who is liking it. Probably like 12 years old or probably like 15 years old, and they don't have purchase power. So sometimes you said, oh no, but this beautiful dress, we have 350 likes, but sometimes you don't know what they are liking. So you need to verify. You need to go and speak with your customers and with your consumers to be able to verify this kind of information. And that's why I said 50 and 50, because to be honest, Instagram is important. TikTok is very, very important. I love it. and I love it because we engage with consumers in a very different way, you know, and I love the way that we engage on TikTok. But please do a video call with your clients, do a video conference with a group that probably you found on your Instagram, because this way you can identify and you can create a better idea of your audience, your consumers, and what you can do next, because it's extremely important. I'm gonna reveal. I cannot tell you the brand because of for the confidentiality. But right now, I mean not right now. 1 month ago, during the pandemic, many very important brands, they didn't know how to engage with their clients. What they did is they phoned all the consumer base, and they said, "Hello, how are you? How are you doing? I know you bought this dress this day. How are you feeling?" And that was fantastic. That was the best marketing strategy and best marketing campaign that a brand with 50 years or 25 years or 5 years did. Because that's real consumer engagement in a very difficult time that human contact was the most precious thing that we had. So please, 50-50. I'm 50-50. Sorry, I'm very versatile myself.
No, it's good. So 50% online, 50% offline. Yes. And I think you hit the nail on the head by saying real consumer engagement. I think sometimes we have the online. The online is kind of like it's a virtual world, isn't it? Where you don't get to see people. People are easily influenced by other people. Whereas if I was to go into a shop, I'm going into a shop by myself. I might see the clothes. I might go with my friends, but I'm going to the shop by myself, and I get to choose what I want. But when I'm going online and I'm seeing 5,000 people liking something, I might be easily influenced by it. So you have a good point in that. I never thought of it like that, but yeah, amazing, thank you. So I had a question much earlier. Actually, let me make this point. Anna Marie said something about asking for help in your last explanation with regards to people asking for help. She says, experts are always very happy to help and never feel that you shouldn't just ask. And I think that's very key, and people need to understand that. Don't try and do everything by yourself, because if you're doing that, you're setting yourself for failure. And we have Tadu N. He says, or she, sorry, as a brand strategist, what entails a normal work day for you? The person says, I aim to start up a bridal atelier stocking various designer gowns. What would you say are the 3 top tips on branding my startup? Keeping in mind, these signs are not officially mine. I don't know, these signs are not officially mine. I think it's basically touching on what we asked earlier on at the beginning. I think people just want you to explain what those 3 strategies are. If you can, repeat that, that would be amazing. Quickly, so, and then I'll ask you the next questions.
We have two questions, no? Okay. Yeah, we have 2 questions. So the first one, I forgot. Can you repeat? Because I was so concentrated to understand.
Okay, the first question is, as a brand strategist, what's your normal working day like? And then the second one is about the 3 top tips. Yeah?
Okay, perfect. Yeah, about the bridal business. My day. Buki, Tadu, thank you very much for asking. Not many people ask me about my day. They they believe it's a very glamorous life, and it's not. So my daily life, working life, is a lot of research, a lot of reading, Buki and Tadu and everyone, because I don't know everything and I don't want to know everything, but I want to understand day by day what's going on in the planet. I have my reliable sources of information. Yeah, so I read the Economist, I read the New York Times, I read the Guardian, I read Harvard Business Review. So, and to be honest here, and I know people are gonna hate me for that, I don't try to read a lot business of fashion because it's no information reliable for my job. So I need to go beyond that. Yeah, I need to go and find the real source. Um, so every day I read a lot, and because for me it's so important to understand or to have an idea. Yeah, to have a vague idea of what is this. So I interact a lot with my colleagues, and I like having calls from people from everywhere in the planet. I love this, you know, even in Bogota, when I was living in Bogota, I had many friends from all over Latin America, and I am like that. That's why I love London, you know, because in London, every point of view is so important, so you can amplify the reality of your life. So I do exactly the same in my business. I try to talk with my colleagues in Japan, in China, in Colombia, in London, in America, in Lagos. I have a lot of friends in Lagos, in Nigeria, in Egypt, in South Africa, because all of them, they give me perspectives of reality. So this is something that I do all the time. And I listen a lot. You know, I listen to my clients deeply. I try to understand the root of their inquiries. I try to understand their anxiety, and I try to understand their dreams. So I have to listen a lot. A lot is a lot. Sometimes I listen more than talking, because listening help me to understand where or how I need to develop the strategy, because this is no business is not equal for for everyone. You need to adapt. You need to be able to understand how to go about, how to generate a business. It changes depending on geographical locations, and even within cities. You know, you are from London, Buki. You know that selling in central London is totally different from selling from East London and South London. So, you know, there are many conditions to generate a business that you have to consider. The business itself, they need to be very flexible and adaptable. So you cannot just say, okay, to do a business, you need to do 1, 2, 3. No, that's bullshit. Whoever says that is a bullshitter. Sorry about it. Whoever says that to develop a fashion business, you have to study a lot, and you have to consider all the circumstances and all the assets that are involved inside the panorama of your business itself. Yeah. So this is my life, and I love it because it keeps me alive, because it keeps this job reminds me of how ignorant I am, Buki, because I don't know everything, but it doesn't mean that I'm not capable of learning. And this is something that I love. So this job keeps me in the learning mood, which is, I don't know, so I'm just gonna research, and I'm gonna be able to generate a good understanding to be able to implement a very good business strategy. And I love it. I love it. You know, right now I'm working in Colombia with 150 brands. this is crazy, and all of them, they are very different. And I listened to all of them. When I was in London supporting startups, we were working with 535 businesses, and I needed to listen all of them, because that's the key, listening. Yeah, we did an amazing activity with the Coventry University and London School of Economics, and we were helping on the website, oh, I forgot, Not Just a Label. So Not Just a Label was bringing 535 brands, and we were listening to all of them one by one, because there is no other way to help a business, because there is not the same rules. It's very different. I can hear.
Right. So Fabian, going back to when we first started, and we started with the 3 steps of how to build your brand. Although you're saying there's no set route to starting a brand, but you gave us 3 steps at the beginning. Do you remember what those 3 steps are?
Yes.
If you can just reshare that.
Which is 3 steps for you to evaluate, because those 3 steps are very important for evaluation, but it doesn't mean that you need to follow. Which is, the first step is you have to remember why you love fashion, where you created that memory of loving fashion. Because if you don't understand that, probably instead of creating a fashion business, you create a fashion fantasy of that memory. Yeah. So this is key point. Yeah, it's key point, because many people, they said, oh, I want to create night dresses. And I said, but why you love fashion? Oh, because I love Cinderella. And I said, come on, you live in 2020. You cannot create a business based on Cinderella. So be inspired, but adapt it. That's why it's very, very key, the reflection. The other thing is you need to understand that one thing is having a good idea, and the other thing is creating a business itself. So you need to be able to understand the difference and how you transform how you transform an idea to business. That requires time. And this is something that you need to be aware all the time. We can have an idea here, booking, how to generate a good marketing on Instagram, but we can talk for 3 hours. But if we want to implement the idea, that changes everything. Because probably we thought a lot, but during the implementations, probably we are gonna say, oh, we were talking just rubbish. So this is simpler than we thought. Yeah. So it's all about that. And the third kind of question that you have to consider is that if what you are doing has a market and supply a need, because otherwise you are not going to have a business, you are not going to have exchange. And to be able to have generate exchange, you have to generate this. Okay, you need this, so I'm going to provide that. But of course, I'm going to provide this from my point of view. Probably you are going to like it, but you need to supply a need. Otherwise, it's not going to be a business itself. So I remember we have something about bridal. Yeah. I just want to say this is a segment of the business that is very, very important. People love getting married, and they love getting divorced. So this is how we are human. So having a business and a startup about bridal is the right. It has a niche and it has a need, but I don't know if you know, but I'm going to tell you because I've been working with Jenny Pacan and I've been working with many designers, even with Valentino in the bridal segments. Women, when they want to get married or they want to celebrate their marriage, they are very vulnerable and they are very confused. So you are dealing with a very special moment in the life of a woman. So be careful. So it's not about offering only dresses. You have to offer a service of support, because it's very vulnerable time for a woman. And even for a man, it's only, we don't say it. It's very strange. Like, say, oh my God, what I'm gonna do? So you have to provide the products, but at the same time, you have to provide the services that generate stability in that very difficult moment of the life of a woman, or even the life of a man, because all the insecurities of your life are gonna show up when you are gonna try to buy your bridal dress. Because it's many things at the same time. It's transforming your life, in being single, being mature or immature to becoming mature. I mean, it's very, very complex, and it's very beautiful moment. It's only, you cannot create only a business providing product. You have to provide services, because bridal is about services and product, because it's no, you cannot separate. If you separate, you are not offering a service of bridal. You are offering something else.
It's too much. You've just been amazing. There was something I picked up from it. A lot of us, we have business ideas, and we're strategists, but not implementers.
Oh yeah.
You know, you can do all the planning. You can plan to do this X, Y, and Z, and you've written it down. You've got everything that you need to do, but you don't know how to implement. So how does one get over that? What do you think, as a creative, one can put the plan into motion? And I also have another question. I don't know if you want to answer that one first, and then I'll go into this question from Adriana.
Please, because I love your questions, Buki, and the questions are public. I just, because it's almost 9 p.m. here in Milano, I am busy. So I want to answer the best way. So implementation is a gift and it's a talent. People that know how to implement, they are just sometimes natural. So if you are not a natural implementer, ask for help, because creative, sometimes we don't know how to do it, but it doesn't mean you need to know how to do it. But if you ask for help, please evaluate that you don't have the ability to implement. You know, at the beginning, I didn't know how to implement. At the beginning, I got lost. So I asked for many people. Now that I learn, sometimes many companies, they hire me just to generate the implementations. And sometimes implementations is about dealing with fears, because implementations is all about, oh, but what's going to happen? What this person is going to say, what the press is going to say, what my mother is going to say, what my boyfriend is going to say. And sometimes to have the best implementers, they need to be far away from you, because they don't have any, they don't have any travel, or how you call it. I forgot what is the word. Buki, help me.
They don't have any influence. They don't have any, yeah, I know what you mean. They don't have any, they're invested, but they don't have that influence that you need.
Exactly.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's the best way, you know, that's the best way, Buki, to find someone that is someone far away from your family, far away from your circle of friends, that they can do, okay, you can do it. And they don't care, and they just do it. Because sometimes when we are not capable of implementing, it's because our fears. Oh, it's gonna be perfect. It's gonna be, oh, I'm a good designer. No, so you just need to do it. The only way to learn is to, feel the fear and do it anyway. Because if you don't do it, so you don't know what you need to do next. You need to continue doing it and doing it and doing it until you get in the rhythm of doing it. But if you are afraid and if you are a person that gets frozen during that process of implementation, ask for help because that's the best way.
We're nearly an hour in, but I have two questions, and then we'll yes. I have a question from Adriana Castro from Colombia. She said, I've had the opportunity to work with Fabian at Bogota Fashion Week mentoring session. And I want to ask Fabian, does he suggest to innovate in new product categories during these times, still maintaining our DNA? That's
Diana, I love you. Te amo. I know her.
Okay.
A lot. So, Adriana, and this is not only for Adriana, this is for everyone. I believe if your brand is older than 6 years, it's better not to generate a new product right now, because you've been having 6 years of trying to implement trying to communicate who you are as a brand. If you try to create and generate a new product or new line of product right now, you are going to create more confusion about your brand. So right now, the strategy for many of the brands that they've been working very hard to generate a space and to generate a rapport with an audience is to come back to the roots and to communicate, this is who we are and this is who we will be during the pandemic and after the pandemic itself. Many brands I know, and especially startups, they are trying to create like face masks and protective garments. This is okay, but don't try, if you sell bags, don't try to create shoes right now. This is not good timing to do that. So if you are a bag designer, continue being a bag designer. If you want to do face masks, it's okay. You can do this beautiful face mask because this is something that is needed, but you cannot change your business completely because you are a bag designer. So this is my recommendation. If you are a young designer booking, I think it will be great time to experiment because you are going to receive a lot of feedback. So, but if you are a younger startup, but if you spend 5 years, 6 years of your life spending a lot of money, I don't believe this is the right time to generate a new product line.
And our final question for today. Thank you so much, Fabian, for that. Because I think a lot of people, when they hit like a stumbling block or they have any issue within their business, the first thing they think about is, oh, well, my line's not selling, so let me come out with something else. Let me come without actually doing the research, which you mentioned earlier on, which is very, very key in making sure that you find out what your customers or your clients' needs are. Because once you fulfill their needs, then it's all the way up for you. So I have a question here from Claudia Martin. She asks, how do I know if my product has a competitive edge and can become a real niche or mainstream?
What she does, Claudia.
I don't know what no, she didn't say what she does. She just wants to know, she sells wedding dresses. I think she's in Artilia, bridal wedding dresses, I think. Yes. How do I know if my product has a competitive edge? Even in general, I mean, if we were to, she's in New York. Yeah. What product do you sell? I'm asking her now. Yeah, I think in general, we need to think of how can we ensure that the product that we're I think you've touched on it, which is basically doing your research and finding out. But if you can just elaborate on that just for like 60 seconds.
Because I just want to finish with something that will be with a tool that people can use. And it's basically this. I don't know why I'm talking about children, but we, all of us, we are children, you know, we are sons or daughters. So even though our parents, they tried to give us the best, they didn't know what we could become. You know, I'm sure all our parents, they have an idea how great they wanted us to be, but we became something else, which is great, but in a different way because we adapted to our lives. So that happens the same with the product. You, as a founder, as a designer, you will never know because it's not about you that needs to identify or needs to generate the qualification that your product has an edge. Is the audience, is your consumer, is the community of consumers that you want to direct your product. If you don't know the community of your consumers, try to have a look or try to research for that community. And after that, listen to the community itself to be able to generate the edge. Because I just want to be honest with all of you. Sometimes what the designer and what the founder believes is the edge is actually not. Yeah. And it happens. It's not a mistake of the founder. You know, it happens is in psychology, we call it, is the blind spot of you being the creator. When you are the creator, you love so much what you create that you lose a bit of objectivity. So that's why your audience needs to decide for you if it has an edge or not. Because otherwise, it's very difficult to understand. And if you are very small brands, try to do trials. I invite all my brands to do trials. And I said, do little trial, you know, Buki, I want to bring many Latin American brands to Africa because you don't know how close we are. We are like brothers, sisters. It's just we didn't know. It's just we believe we are so far away, but without you, we wouldn't exist in Latin America. So I want to bring them because they don't know what kind of stuff and they need to try. So I have many friends in Lagos, Egypt, in Morocco, and I have many friends in South Africa, and I work a lot in Africa. And I said, do trials, go to Lagos and see what people think. If they hate it, so probably it's not your community, but you need to try, you know? Because otherwise you are not going to be. And if it's not Lagos, go back, because all of them, they want to go to Paris because supposed to Paris is very important, but consumers don't live there. You need to go and speak with your consumers. So Lagos is very important, you know, Egypt is very important, Hawaii is very important. You know, these little communities that people don't know much, go and speak, because otherwise you will never understand. So
Thank you so much. I mean, Fabian, thank you so much for touching on that, on the importance of African fashion, because you know, it's been quite a while that, you know, African Fashion Week London has been around for, this is our 10th season, to be honest with you. And it's time for us to come to the forefront, for people to start recognizing the talent that's in Africa, the creativity that's in Africa, and kind of, you know, work with us, you know, and give us the opportunities, especially for the younger emerging designers that are coming up. They are so talented, and all they ask for is for a platform to be seen, and to encourage them, and not for them to think, oh, well, you know, as an artist, they can't make it, and or they need to be on New York fashion, you know, fashion runway, or to be on Paris fashion runway. And we just want to make African Fashion Week London a platform that people can align with the likes of London Fashion Week. I know you've done quite a few work with London. It would be great if London Fashion Week can approach African Fashion Week London and say, you know, let's work together in collaboration. It will be it will give us the platform that we need. But saying that, I have a comment from Andrea Ferrari from Venezuela, based in Bulgaria. She says, thank you both for this valuable talk. Oh, my question is for Bukola in regards to African fashion. What are your favorite African brands that has international following? Oh, wow. I love Prints. I love the louder, the better. um, I have so many designers that I love that are talented. I would say Ilya Moromi, if you go onto our website, African Fashion Week London, you'll see all of our previous designers right there. Ilya Moromi is brilliant. I have my sisters, Delight Boutique, Aphrodite, Becca Apparel, who's based in London. And Blinkshiki, so many more that are based all over Africa. But if you go onto our website, you'll see a list of our designers that's showcased. So yeah, fantastic. I have one final question for you, Fabian, before you go. And I know we've gone 10 minutes past. One final question. How can one capitalize on one's creativity post-COVID?
This is beautiful.
And that's it. Yeah.
Thank you very much for the question, because as I explained to you that I wanted to help, I wanted to help my community. The best way that I can help my community, international community in fashion, is to help them to make money, because I'm tired of fashion designers not having money. Yeah, so trust me that this is my campaign all over the planet, even with big brands and even with the small brands, because money is so important. It's like water. We cannot live this life without money. Sometimes some of us, we need less, some others, they need more, but money is very important. So how to make, how to preserve, how to look after money, and how to capitalize is so important. Creativity itself cannot be capitalized. Creativity itself is the fuel of a business, yeah? Because creativity needs to change all the time. You cannot just capitalize something that keeps changing every day, because otherwise you are not going to be able to sell it, yeah? But creativity is very important for the process of capitalizing this business. So this is my little piece of advice. You have to separate. Creativity needs to be informed, it needs to be nurtured, and money cannot touch creativity because it's the foundation of many things. But the business is what is in between creativity and the money. And that's why the business itself is so important that exists, because that generates the separation, all of that. COVID is an amazing time for all of us, because we realize that we were doing many things wrong, yeah? And now everyone realized, yeah? Now we cannot just deny about what we've been doing wrong in a very, very bad way. So or we change or we change. The beautiful thing of change is there are many opportunities for all of us. And the best opportunity to generate a business or to continue a business after COVID is be yourself, be clear with the product that you have. If you are a bag designer, be the most beautiful bag designer, the clearer bag designer. If you love prints, so it's about prints that is your business, especially after COVID, because after COVID, after all the confusion that we've been living, we consumers are gonna try to identify what is easy for us. But if you give a very confusing message that, okay, I do bags, but I do shoes, and I do belts, and I do hats, so the consumer is gonna say, especially after COVID, is like, who the hell are you? I don't know you. So next, you know, like Tinder, next. And that happens. So this is the most important action that you have to generate after COVID. Be clear in the product that you offer. Be clear that you sell prints, you sell bags, you sell hats, so be clear. And at the same time, be conscious that all of us, we suffer economically. So try to sell in the best way possible that you can. Reduce some of your prices. Don't lose money, but don't try to be greedy, because greediness it's not going to help your brand. It's not going to help your brand. So if you are selling bags, if your bags it costs 150 pounds, $200, so try to make it 120. Try to make it, $180. Try to be honest. Try to be compassionate with your consumers, because all of us, we are affected economically. It's not that you have to reduce everything 50%, because that I don't believe on that. But try to be compassionate, especially after COVID. Be clear. If you sell bags, offer bags. And try to be compassionate and real with the pricing, because you cannot go out after all of this that we live trying to sell the double with the double price. This is not honest, and this is not human, and this is not that doesn't go with the reality of our planet right now.
Fabian, you've been fantastic. I'm just so amazed. I've been so excited from the moment you agreed to do this, because obviously it's my background. Although I'm head of operations, I love anything to do with business. I love anything to do with innovative ideas, and this has been a showstopper for me. Thank you so much for agreeing to do this for us. And we're about to end this session. If you have any final remarks that you would like to leave, how can people find you? If you've written any books, please let us know. If you have a website, please share with us. So I'll let you leave your final remarks.
Thank you very much, Buki, for this invitation. For me to be connected with what you do is an honor. Yeah, as I said, when I received the invitation, I didn't doubt to collaborate and to be part of this amazing event that you are doing, especially in that community that is so talented, and it has given us so much to all of us, especially as Latino. I've been receiving a lot from the African community, and in London, all my friends, they are giving me the flavor of life when I need it. So thank you very much for that. So I'm available. You can find me on Instagram, Fabian Hirose. So it's very easy. So just put I forgot how you call it.
The apps.
You say Kiochala in
yeah.
So please, I haven't written any books. But at some point I will write some books, because I believe I want to share through writing everything that I have learned. I'm gaining more experiences, and I'm learning. Please ask me anything, because during this time in COVID, I'm available to all of you, because I love my community, my fashion community. This community has given me so much. So I'm just giving back everything that I receive. So, and this time is extremely important. So ask me any questions. And of course, if I know the real answer, I will give you the answer. If I don't know, you know me by now, I will say, sorry, I don't know. Because sometimes this is very important to say, I don't know. So I'm here, and let's stay connected. And thank you very much for this little time and amazing time that we had, Buki.
Thank you so much, Fabian. I just want to say this masterclass sessions will never happen without the approval of Princess Ronke Ademilugi, who is the founder of Africa Fashion Week London. Just want to thank her for the opportunity. And I want to say a big, massive shout out to all our team members, those that are working behind the scenes. Anna Marie, thank you so much for your technical support. And for all the strategists behind African Fashion Week London. I hope you've been listening to Fabian Hirose, and we hope to collaborate with you, Fabian, one way or another, given this free time. We'll continue that conversation offline. I'd also like to mention that along with our masterclass series, we have online courses called Fashion Futures in partnership with Henley's Business School UK and Parsons Design School New York. And we have scholarships available. So please head over to our website for further information. Thank you guys so much for joining in. And we have one more week of Africa Fashion Week Masterclass sessions, and they will be next week. So please sign up. Thank you, Fabian.
Thank
Stay
you.
blessed. Thank you all. Take care.
Okay.
Bye.